What up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and you're listening to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. As each week, I'm coming at you with me, myself, here to share something, some aspect, some one thing to help level up in life from a mindset perspective, to take some piece of information to help you expand, evolve, and live to the life to achieve the levels of what it is you want to experience. They gain that, in my personal opinion, it's the freedom that we all seek for. And this episode is an interesting one. I've been really thinking about this for a little bit, and I was kind of like, maybe I should talk about this. Maybe I should talk about that. And I kind of gone back and forth, and then it struck me, and it really hit home because I've talked about this in different perspectives. I've talked about this main topic, and then I've shared it in different perspectives. And today I want to bring another perspective to it. So this actually comes from a personal story of myself. When I was 18 years old, I could not wait to leave high school. I didn't enjoy high school. I couldn't wait to get away from it all, to escape my reality, thinking that the grass was greener on the other side when I went to Arizona State. I was going to go there originally for computer science. It was ranked like top 4 in the nation. And I was like, great, I can learn computers there and start my career afterwards. And what happened was I was all excited. There was a moment when my parents left. I was like, oh, shit, things got real. And I remember crying a lot and processing a lot. And there was a lot of growth in that too. But one of the things I learned throughout the journey is I thought the people that I had issues with before weren't going to be there. And what I ended up finding out is actually the same issues I had at home were showing up there. It didn't happen instantly, but it was over time. And it was one of those things where I started to go, well, I don't get this. I left this. There's a whole different area I'm living in. People are different here. It's different culture. And I was meeting different people from all across the world. It was a great place. It was like a melting pot. I enjoyed it. I loved it for the year and a half I was there. But one of the things I started to learn is that a lot of the stuff I had from home and issues that I was dealing with emotionally and experiences and all that showed up there too. And it wasn't until later, I had to hit my head a few times. I'm very stubborn. So I'm a very persistent individual, and sometimes maybe too persistent to where I'll wait things out a little longer probably than I should. But it's one of the things where I've learned over time that this is where I kind of grasp understanding that the grass is not green on the other side. But I'm the type of individual who wants to go deeper. I want to understand more about it. I want to understand the whys behind it. What are the things that can give me clarity and have a better understanding? And what I learned is that, and this happened to me in the meditation today, and I was like, great, this is why I didn't do the podcast yesterday, is that no matter where you're vibing, your experience is going to be your experience. Wherever that vibrational frequency, whatever that the energy, the thing that you are aligning to, okay, is going to be that experience, and that's it. You're going to have that experience. It will be the same experience no matter what happens until you change you. Your outer world will not change until your inner world changes. If you don't like what your eyes are seeing, it's because you haven't taken the energy to look within and take care of what's here. You will have the same issues show up every single time. They show up in different ways, but it's the same root, okay? And that same root always is going to show up in life unless you address the thing that you're resisting the most, the thing that you don't want to open up, the thing that you're shoving down. It's that box you're trying to lock up more tape so it never opens up, so you never have to face those fears. You never have to face that pain. Maybe it was mom and dad. Maybe it was brother and sister. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was XYZ. But it's the things in childhood that we bottle up in adulthood and think that everything's great. But the problem is we don't deal with it. We don't face the darkness, right? And so when you have these things showing up in your life, it's one of the stuff that, how can you, if you really want to get to this level of freedom, this is something that I've been talking a lot more about. I've been on a couple podcast interviews. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram and other social media outlets, you've been seeing I've been sharing these things. If you're on my email list, you can definitely, if you're not on my email list, please jump on, get on there. It's in the show notes below. You get 3 chapters of my book for free, and you get on our email list. You keep up with everything that I'm sharing. I don't spam you every week. It's probably every other week. Lately, I've been doing once every three weeks to every 4 weeks. Sharing great content when I do, but keeping it a little bit minimal as we're doing some background work, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But it's one of the things where on the podcast, I talk about this thing called freedom, and I'm really big on this lately because that's what I'm seeking for, and I actually understand what the freedom is now. right? Before I thought it was financial freedom growing up in my life, right? I came from a culture and an environment that we didn't have a lot of money. So I had a very limitation of what I can have, what I can enjoy. Really, it wasn't like poverty or anything, but it was one of the things where I didn't have a lot of toys. I didn't have a lot of things. I had a lot of hand-me-downs and so forth. But there's also then I get to a point where my life where I kind of got the gist of the money consciousness. I got the energy of the vibe. I've shifted my energy. I know how to bring up my energy down and below. And I was like, well, that's not, it just doesn't feel right. Like it's good, but it's not what I'm seeking. And now I'm starting to feel that energy of what I'm really looking for. And it's freedom. And I think everybody seeks that. I think we all want freedom in every aspect of our life, not just in one, but in all aspects of our life. Things that come along in our relationship, being the freedom to be who we are and have someone who supports us. I think financially is having the freedom to choose and do and have whatever it is we desire, not the things that celebrities show us or other people show us on TV where there's nice cars and the big houses. If you like that, that's great. But if you don't like that, or if that's not an interest to you, what really interests you and what is it that you want to have and experience? So there's all these different things in your life. You can look in your career, the freedom in your career, your business, being able to do as you choose, as you please, having freedom with your family and friends as you go and have fun, create experiences. I think there's freedom in all aspects that we look for, especially physically and mentally, mental, emotionally. And it's one of the things that if we continue to focus on the outer and not the inner, and I think this is what the world is showing us with all the things that we've seen, right? We talk about, you hear people talking about systemic injustices and all these different things, which I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I actually interviewed someone last week. You can check it out, Dr. Fleet Mall. He actually brings this up a little bit. And we got into a really good conversation about this. This is the first time I actually was speaking about it publicly. But it's one of the things that he talked about was like radical responsibility. He wrote a book on it. But what I'm trying to get to is the same thing and a little different. And it's the inner work that you have to do with yourself. And if you solve the inner work, not only do you help yourself and then create a different experience for your life to be more of a higher vibe of what you want to experience, but you also give people the opportunity to be liberated and be able to have an opportunity to do the exact same thing. That is the power of this work. And we can break the bondage or the chains or the prisons that we're putting ourselves in, may it be physically or in the mental aspect of our life, to where we bar ourselves down and limit ourselves and not let ourselves really be who we are, not let ourselves shine to who we should be. And this happens in any facet of your life, whether you're a business owner, if you're a CEO of a company, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't matter. These are universal laws that you can apply into your life. If you don't like what you're seeing in front of you, you got to do some inner work, because what you don't like is actually what you don't like within. It's the thing you resist the most. I always say the things that trigger you the most are the things you hold within the most. And so the more that you're holding this stuff in, the less you're going to evolve as a human being. You're not going to thrive at the level you want to until you take care of your stuff and work on you consistently. That's how we transform things. That's how you transform your world. That's how you transform the world itself, your world and the other world, right? Because there's your collective consciousness, you as a soul, and then there's the human collective consciousness, and there's the Earth collective consciousness, there's the galaxy, solar system, then the galaxy, and we can go on and on and on. But there's a consciousness that you're giving to. And so it's one of the things that, like I shared in a couple episodes before, will be coming out in June, actually. But one of the things I was sharing in this episode was about how I said there's two reasons why we exist in this world. Two reasons. There may be more. In the last 15 years, 16 years of my spiritual journey, of my researching and studying and trying to understand the fabric of life and taking everything I can, being kid-like, curious, open-minded, what I've learned is that out of all that, I've learned two things. Number one, you came to this place because you want to gain an experience. The second reason why you're here is because you're here to give something to the experience. So there's one for you, that's a win. And there's also one for others, that's a win. And if you want to see where the third win is, God, prime director, gets the win also. So these are experiences, vibrations, all this stuff gets passed up, if you want to say, to, I always say, I say this, and sometimes God is the best MLM, multi-level marketing company out there. It's the unity of all one, and then everything channels down and all things channel up and for the experience. But long story short, not to get away from the topic here, when it comes to the aspects of your life, if you don't like what you see outward, it means you have work to do inward. And not to burst your bubble. There's never a point when you're done. things just change. Just like you evolve, so does problems and other things evolve. Just like you evolve, your inner critic evolves, your ego evolves. These things evolve all the time as you evolve. So know that this is something that you want to commit your life to. Okay. This is why people say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I say that's one of the greatest paths to freedom. Face your fears, because on the other side of fear is nothing. It's an illusion of what you created for all this time to hold you in this prison. We put ourselves in prisons in so many different ways. And I think one of the ways this virus, COVID, is showing that to us globally, because it's something you can't see, right? Something, unless you have special microphones, microscopes, you're not going to be able to see this thing. But yet it has put us in somewhat of a prison. Governments have lockdowns and all these different things. And I really believe that everything that happens on a mass level is truly the collective showing itself of what it needs to work through, or showing an example of. And I think there's a lot of lessons that could be learned through this. And I've shared it through people I've been interviewing in interviews. I've shared some of my own, sharing on my these types of podcasts that we do. And so I think there's truly an aspect to understanding of where we are as a society and what is the work that we have to do. So ask yourself these questions, and I want you to work on this. I'm going to challenge you a little bit. What are when you look at life and what you don't like, ask yourself the question, why? And just sit there. The answer will come eventually. It will come. Have faith. But you had to ask yourself the question, why? There's reasons why you don't like things. It's there for a reason. You can't have a gain without any pain. You can't thrive without going through survival. This is why we start off life in survival, to learn how to adapt and survive to this world. And then from there, when we learn that we don't have to do that anymore, then we can learn tricks and tips and all that, and how to thrive to be the best version of ourselves. So first question, why? Okay. Reflect on the energy, reflect on the feelings. Okay. I'm not saying to get mental. We got to get out of your head. We got to get to the heart. That's where everything resides. Get to the heart. Focus on the heart. See what there is when it comes to the heart, and where the answers lie, because feelings and emotions are the state of where you are vibing at. And I wrote this in my first book called Rediscover Your Greatness. I talk all about this, how to calibrate emotions, understanding how the emotions are a feedback system, how the universe is a feedback system to let you know, what are you focusing on? What are you putting energy to? What are you feeding into? So these are things to check out. These are things that I would highly, highly recommend to look at. And you can get a copy of my book on my website, empoweryourrally.com. I'll even send it out paperback if you want it, autographed. If you don't, go on Amazon. There's Kindle. There's a Kindle version, an audio version. We have a regular paperback version. It's on every single place you can buy books at. So check them out. But long story short, it's that concept of understanding that, wherever you are in life, if you're not liking the experience, you got to shift your vibe, and you got to hold that vibration. And it takes a lot of work being a human. It's not, we're in our soul spare side. You got to be consistent. You got to keep putting the focus there and the energy into it. And as that grows, momentum grows, and the law of compound effect, the more you do that, the more you create the reality of what you desire. And then years down the road, you look back and you go, I don't know how I got here, but man, am I blessed. I don't know how this happened, but man, am I happy that I'm here. And you get that much more freedom. And I really believe it's not freedom. I know I talked about that at the beginning, but it's not freedom. It's remembering who you are, because we're already free. So I'll leave you with that thought. Appreciate you guys as always. If this is your first time listening, please subscribe. Let us know what you think of the podcast. If you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Please check out some of the stuff that we share in the show notes. My online course, we're coming out with a membership site. I'm going to be doing exclusive. I've been talking about this on and off for a while, and now we're starting to get to the fine tuning of it, where we're going to have exclusive material from me, monthly calls. We're going to do exclusive podcasts. We're going to have certain videos, breath work and meditation stuff that I'll be doing. A lot of mindfulness, neuro hacks. I may bring some health stuff in. I'm going to be creating a health version too of this. So that way I can help individuals from a membership aspect to have a little bit of access to me for a very small nominal fee. I mean, it's going to be like $10, maybe $20 a month. It's not going to be much, just to cover my time and all the expenses that I have to do to create these platforms to do that. But it's going to be a method to be able to help inspire and create community in a way to share something that I don't share for free, like the podcast and other things. So stay tuned. subscribe, get the copy of the first 3 chapters of my second book called The Walk in the Dark. That's how you get onto my email list. It's appreciation for you to be part of that. And I give you 3 chapters of the books. I promise just the first 3 chapters is good. It doesn't get to all the good stuff and how to implement in life, but it kind of gives you a good substance to start with to understand all the things that we face and why the darkness will always be there no matter what, because there's always things we have to work on. As always, I appreciate you guys. And until next time, keep rocking and rolling.